There are things in life that money cannot buy, but is the identity of a child one of them? This question has ignited a firestorm across Taiwanese social media in May 2025 after a shocking scandal erupted around 74-year-old billionaire Winston Wong, the son of Taiwan's legendary plastic king Wong Yongqing. On one side stands the aging billionaire, notorious for his long history of romantic entanglements, firmly refusing to acknowledge a child and insisting it was nothing more than an act of paid pleasure. On the other is a 20-year-old woman with a 5-year-old child fighting desperately for justice and recognition within one of Taiwan's wealthiest dynasties. This is not just a courtroom battle. It is a story of power, money, and the unforeseen consequences of unequal relationships. Is this the tale of an irresponsible father? Or the cunning scheme of a woman accused of exploiting her way into fortune? Tonight, we dive into the scandal shaking the upper echelons of Taiwanese high society. Our main figure is no ordinary man. Winston Wong, a scholar-turned-billionaire, serves as CEO of Grace THW Group in Taiwan. He is also the eldest son of Wong Yongqing, the famed chairman of the Formosa Plastics Group. Winston's father, Wong Yongqing, is a legendary name in Taiwan's business world. His life story often compared to a myth of rags to riches determination. Born in 1917 in Xindian, a small town in New Taipei County, Wong grew up in poverty. In 1932, he left Xindian for Chiayi, working as an apprentice in a rice shop. Just 1 year later, he opened his own rice store with his brothers, Wong Yongqing and Wong Yongqing. Soon, he shifted into the timber trade, earning his first bucket of gold, the foundation for what would become his empire. By July 1954, alongside his brother Wong Yongqing, he founded the Formosa Plastics Group, beginning with plastics processing before branching into petrochemicals, fibers, electronics, healthcare, and education. Under his leadership, the enterprise grew into one of Taiwan's largest private conglomerates. Formosa Plastics became a symbol of Taiwan's economic miracle, and Wong himself was hailed as the god of business. Despite his empire, Wong Yongqing lived a disciplined, almost austere life. He poured decades into philanthropy, offering aid without regard for politics or borders. After the devastating 9/21 earthquake in Taiwan and the Wan earthquake in mainland China, he donated generously for relief efforts. He even funded the construction of thousands of Hope elementary schools across China. But like many powerful men, his personal life was complex and controversial. Wong married 3 wives and had one well-known mistress. His first wife, Guo Yuwelin, his second wife, Yang Xiao, his longtime companion, Lin Mingcha, and finally his third wife, the famous Li Pa. Guwelin, according to family lore, was a raised daughter-in-law within the Wang household, but she never bore children. Because of this, Wong took a second wife, Yang Xiao, who gave him 2 sons and 1 daughter. The eldest son being Winston Wong, our protagonist today. At 35, when his career was at its peak, Wong encountered 17-year-old Lin Mingcho. Over the next 5 years, she bore him 2 sons and a daughter. Wong gave all 3 children his surname, but never offered Lin Mingcho the official status of wife. Later came Li Pao, a woman from the world of entertainment, already divorced with a child of her own. Within 4 months, she captured Wong's heart and became his third wife. Lin Mingcho remarried soon after, taking her children with her. They later changed their family name to Lo. As for Winston Wong, he was born on April 2, 1951, and his academic path was nothing short of dazzling. In 1975, he earned a Ph.D. in physics from Imperial College London. He then traveled to the United States to help the family group expand into new markets, achieving impressive results. Eventually, he heeded his father's call to return to Taiwan, joining Nanya Plastics Corporation. Starting as chief secretary, He moved through the ranks as production management leader, deputy manager, manager, all while teaching as a professor at National Taiwan University. For years, many saw Winston as the strongest candidate to inherit his father's throne at Formosa Plastics. But then a scandal derailed everything. In 1995, Taiwanese media exploded with reports of an affair between Winston Wong and his student. At the time, Wong was 44, serving as an associate professor in the MBA program at National Taiwan University. His student, Lu Ani, was a master's candidate under his supervision. Lu Ani's background was equally academic. She had attended the prestigious Taipei First Girls High School, then entered the doctoral entrance exams for NTU's Graduate School of Business Administration. She placed first in the written preliminary test, but her final interview score was 0. Suspecting foul play, Lu accused Professor Hong Ming Cho, one of the examiners, of academic misconduct and sexual harassment. Courageously, she took her case to the Ministry of Education, demanding justice. Her actions sent shockwaves through Taiwan's academic and education circles. But soon, the press began shadowing her, and the truth surfaced. She was romantically involved with her supervisor, Winston Wong. The tabloid-exclusive report Weekly published intimate photographs of the two together on its cover, publicly exposing the affair. Soon after, Lu wrote a lengthy letter to Wong Yongqing himself, pleading for his blessing to formalize her relationship with Winston. But the patriarch's response was merciless. He forbade it outright. From that moment on, Lu Ani became known as perhaps the most audacious other woman in Taiwan's history, brazen enough to challenge Wong Yongqing himself, declaring, "You could take 3 wives, so why can't your son do the same?" The remark enraged the patriarch. In the end, Wong Yongqing forced his son, Winston Wong, to leave Formosa Plastics Group, stripping him of his long-expected position as heir to the empire. Cast out of the dynasty, Winston forged his own path, founding Grace THW Group. Outsiders whispered that the father and son had fallen out over a woman, but Winston insisted the rift ran deeper. He claimed his mother had sacrificed tremendously for the family in the early years of his father's empire, only to be denied the recognition she deserved. Through it all, there was Chen Jing-wen, his first wife, whom he had met in England. After their marriage, she stayed loyally by his side, witnessing every step of Winston's rise. When she discovered his affair, she did not fight or scream. Instead, she endured in silence, holding the household together for years. But the weight of heartbreak consumed her, leaving her frail and ill. Eventually, Winston left his wife and children behind, moving overseas to live with Lu Ani, more than a decade his junior, for over 20 years. Lu became not only his partner but also his most trusted aide, serving as special assistant at Grace THW Group. Together, they had a son, Wong Quan Li. Yet, even after Chen Jing-wen was diagnosed with stomach cancer in 2007, Winston never gave Lu the formal title of wife. In 2010, at the lavish wedding of Winston's eldest son, Wong Quan Ren, Lu Ani attended. But she was forbidden from sitting with the family, barred from the main table where Wong Yongqing and his 3 official wives presided. By 2017, Winston and Lu had publicly declared their separation. Still, fate tied them together. In 2011, as the eldest son, Winston inherited 20 billion new Taiwan dollars from his late wife, Chen Jing-wen's estate. He immediately allocated 15 billion to his beloved daughter, Wang Yihan. Lu Ani and her son received only 1.2 billion each. The imbalance left Lu furious. Years later, Winston's name would once again become entangled in scandal. Around 6 years ago, browsing online, he came across Miss Song, a young woman who had registered herself as a sugar baby. Struck by her fresh-faced charm and the fact that she was a struggling college student, he reached out. Miss Song admitted she had turned to the arrangement because she couldn't afford tuition. Their first meeting took place in a luxurious villa near Taipei 101. She had no idea who Winston Wong really was. To her, he seemed like a kind, gentle older man. But that very night in the master bedroom, the relationship turned physical. Discovering she was a virgin, Winston was delighted. He handed her 2 stacks of $1,000 bills, 200,000 new Taiwan, roughly $6,500, and instructed her to wash herself in the bathroom. A chauffeur then drove her home. Over the next 5 years, they would meet around 10 times. Miss Song received millions in cash. Winston wasn't only generous, he was witty, entertaining, and she soon became more than just a companion. She became his mistress, but with no precautions taken, Miss Song eventually became pregnant. When she told Winston, his response was startlingly calm. He told her there were 2 choices: abort the child or carry it to term. If she chose the latter, he promised to pay her 2 million new Taiwan dollars a year in child support until the child turned 20. Yet after the baby was born, Winston refused to acknowledge the child as his own. When Miss Song presented him with photos and a birth certificate, he grew cold. At first, he casually pulled bundles of cash from his desk drawer and told her to take them. But when she later demanded a one-time lump sum of 40 million new Taiwan dollars, about $1.3 million, Winston snapped. He berated her for being disobedient. By August and September of last year, the relationship exploded into open conflict. In a heated argument over child support, Winston labeled Ms. Song a terrorist extortionist. He had security escort her out of the building, threatened to call the police, and sneered, "Go ahead, sue me. At most, the court will order me to give you $20,000 a month." Now, with Miss Song's mother filing a lawsuit on her behalf, Winston faces the prospect of a court-mandated DNA test. He has retained the Young Ran United Law Office to represent him. His legal team insists that since the case is already under review by the Taipei District Family Court, Winston will respect judicial procedure and leave the decision in the hands of the court. This scandal has captivated every corner of society, once again igniting debate about the morality and dignity of the elite. No matter how the case ends, one thing is certain: it has already cast a shadow over the reputation of Winston Wong and his company, Grace THW Group. Some veteran commentators and psychologists argue that this was nothing more than a transactional relationship. In their view, Winston Wong crossed no boundaries. He paid, and the young woman accepted. Over the span of 5 years, they met only 10 times. In exchange, she received millions in gifts and compensation, enough to live comfortably and finish her education. But greed twists the human mind. This so-called sparrow believed she could transform herself into a phoenix. And so the story morphed into something darker, a tale of money, power, and the inevitable consequences of an unequal relationship. Others suggest that Winston himself at 69 was careless. Perhaps he never imagined that at such an advanced age he might still father a child. Yet carelessness does not excuse responsibility. Even in an arrangement like this, leaving the woman to raise the child alone strikes many as wrong. Still, there are voices defending him. They insist Winston kept his promises, agreeing to provide 2 million new Taiwan dollars per year in child support, and that he has always valued education for his children, even those born outside of wedlock. Critics of Miss Song's claims point to something else: the Wang family's legacy of longevity. Her fear that Winston might pass away before fulfilling his obligations is, they say, exaggerated. After all, his father, Wong Yongqing, lived to 93. In their eyes, the boy's future support was never truly in jeopardy. But Miss Song's relentless pursuit, some argue, mirrors the fate of Lin Mingchow decades earlier, who remarried, took her children with her, and ultimately walked away with nothing. In the end, if the DNA test confirms paternity, She may secure court-ordered support of 40 to 50,000 new Taiwan dollars a month. Compared to Winston's original offer, that is far less. There is a saying, endure for a moment and the storm will pass. Take a step back and the sea becomes wide and the sky boundless. Yet Miss Song could not. She failed to realize that once you live under someone else's roof, you must also breathe their air. It is said that her mother now leads the legal fight. Many whisper that the mother has not guided her daughter wisely. What should have remained private has now been paraded before the entire world. In the end, was Miss Song truly a victim? Some insist not. From the very beginning, she entered this relationship to trade her body for money. And between a paying client and a courtesan, how could true love ever take root? Winston Wong may have been a flawed man, but he provided generously. To cross the line into blackmail was reckless, especially without fully understanding the man's past. This billionaire's history with women was long and complicated, yet he never once lost control of his image. Now in old age, he fears no scandal, nor the tarnish of his name. The Winston Wong scandal is at its core a familiar story. When money collides with ambition, the ones who suffer most are always the innocent children left behind. And perhaps now the answer to our opening question has become clear. There are things in life that money cannot buy, but the identity of a child, heartbreakingly, can be bargained away in cold negotiations. We'll see you next time as we continue to peel back the glittering surface of high society to reveal the shadows underneath. And what about you? What do you think of this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below.